This was a very interesting exercise. We know that at the end of the day, a lot of things come down to craft. In listening to the previous session, it's there are a lot of things that are even relevant to this conversation as well, because when something is done and done well, it increases the opportunity of that thing to get the recognition that it deserves. So let me just go straight into what I would share with you in a few minutes. The first would be the category overview, and then a little bit about what works, then the common pitfalls, then some thoughts about what it would take to craft and craft well. I think what is interesting about this category is that if you think about it, advertising just borrowed or just joined the club of craft conversation recently. Because if you go back into time, pottery, carpentry, blacksmithing, textiles, these are all things that had craftsmen in it. Like if you see the image on my screen right now, um, it lets you understand that the principles that make something a great craft is not new. It's been there for centuries. But now, what we are trying to do is figure out how that works in our world of advertising. And what's eligible? To be honest, there's so many things that fit under this category, and I've just listed a few here. But anything that has been done with intentionality, anything that has been done with careful thought, is something that can be entered in the craft category. The main things are these five things I've pointed out, because when any case is being reviewed, at least when we were having those reviews, the main things were, to what extent was precision implemented? Was there an obsession over details? Was there intentionality? Was there creative thinking? Was there attention to detail? And those are the key things that we considered critically in looking out for what stands out and what doesn't even make it. There are a couple of things that we look out for in determining what works, and I'll just run through it quickly. But in order to run through it, I want to use two references. The first reference is an all-time favorite, and it's many years old, but it's a very good reference to really talk about craft. The second reference was a gold winner in this year from Tusker in Kenya. But let me just refresh our memories with this film.
I've had my ups and downs, my fair share of bumpy roads and heavy winds. That's what made me what I am today. Now I stand here before you. What you see is a body crafted to perfection, a pair of legs engineered to defy the laws of physics, and a mindset to master the most epic of splits.
Who can say where the road goes, where the day flows? Only time. And who can say if your love grows as your heart shows? Only time. We
This film was an effort to show the fact that these tracks had super stability in their steering. That was the brief. And they chose to use this medium, the music that was used, the editing style, the cinematography, the time of the day they even decided to shoot it, the fact that it was one take. All of those things came together to make it win so many things in the craft category at every major advertising festival event in the world. And that makes it such an exceptional reference in craft. The second one is this Stitch with Cheer from Tusker in Kenya that won this year as well. And it won because of, if you think of the obsession, the attention to detail, the heart of the idea, the fact that they wanted athletes who were representing Kenya at the Olympics, Paralympics, to be able to feel the support of their home crowd in literally in what they were wearing. So they created a jersey that was inspired by their culture, and they integrated it with technology that made it possible for supporters and fans back home in Kenya to be able to send supportive messages to a certain short code, and then the messages will appear on the fabric of the athletes. So you could see what your mother was saying as you were preparing to run. And that created a whole new experience for the support that is critical for these athletes to give their best. In both cases, what stands out is that it begins with this pure, simple idea. For Volvo, it was, we wanted to demonstrate Volvo's precision steering stability. It's very easy to take for granted when you see a clearly stated intention, because most entries we have, the intention is lost. And so it makes it difficult to even appreciate what you are reviewing and giving a point of view on. In the case of Tusker and the Stitched with Cheer, it was about, we wanted to make athletes feel the support of family and friends from far away. So it was so clear, and clarity becomes one of the most important things you could have in mind when you are thinking of the idea. Please let me know if the slides are moving from your end. Has it moved from the case study of the Volvo ad?
Not on my end. I think we're still kind of frozen on Van Damme's face.
Oh, sorry. 1 second.
Yeah, it just moved.
Okay. Oh, then it means you may have missed the Tusker one as well. Let me just show it. So this is the Stitch with Cheer case board that I was referencing, and the fabric is what was used to create the jerseys that they wore at the festival. Okay. So there was a clarity of purpose, the fact that with Volvo, they wanted to demonstrate Volvo's precision and steering capability. The second thing is, craft is what made it legendary. Each craft discipline was a deliberate contribution. So in looking out for what sort of craft to award, it's important that the craft is serving a greater purpose. It contributes to a winning story. It is not the winning story itself. So for that specific reference, you see these 5 disciplines that came together. In the first case is craft excellence in direction. The director, it took a lot to be able to direct with restraint. One take, no cuts. And the impact of that was authenticity and tension. You could feel that it's real. Then the cinematography, the intentionality of shooting at that particular time, the symmetry of the composition, the smooth dolly motion, the technicality that was applied. So everybody who was contributing to that campaign brought into it a certain level of technical expertise that altogether made it memorable. Then there's sound design and music. The deliberate choice of the sound, it added to that spiritual stillness and control. It made an ad about a track feel spiritual, which turns a stunt into a meditation and contrasts danger with serenity. You can see that what the character is doing is dangerous, but then the entire mood of the film feels so serene. And that contrast allows the art to be even more memorable than it could be. Then there's performance craft. The way that the character expressed that calmness and how it mirrors the product's steadiness. That was excellent performance. And performance is also one of the big contributors to craft excellence. Then there's editing. Editing alone can also win a craft recognition. In this case, because there was minimal cuts, that also amplified the idea of stillness, of stability. It means that even the editing was speaking the language of the brief and reinforces the precision and focus. So, in just one material, you see how these five different disciplines played a key role in elevating the craft of the entire output. Third is function and emotion. Craft can deliver to both. If you think about the Tasca reference, the emotion of the campaign was feeling the support of your loved ones on you, literally. The function of it was figuring out a technology, a wearable tech that allowed you to see messages in real time. The amount of iterations, tests, technical considerations that went into creating a fabric that embodied culture, integrated technology, and allowed these emotions to be transmitted means that when we think of craft, you can think of it in those two senses as well. And the thing is, when you see a really good craft entry, it ends up becoming a jury benchmark because after we ask these questions, was there intentionality in every choice? Does the craft serve the idea rather than distracting from it? Did it make the audience feel something real? If it answers these questions, you are sure to have a winner. And then subconsciously, what starts to happen is every subsequent work you see, you start asking yourself, does it exceed this or match this or doesn't come near it? It's not something you do on purpose, but then that's the outcome of something that is well crafted. And it also then becomes a metaphor because if you look at that split film, you see that the perfect equilibrium between art and idea is almost like the perfect equilibrium between, that split in between those two tracks. There's a perfect equilibrium between emotion and execution, between bravery and control. So it's the kind of thing that would shout loudly through the stillness and subtlety of how it has been implemented in the work. And here are just a few of the common pitfalls. I've used even this image here for the slide breaker to speak to how the idea of craft is so interwoven in our culture. And if you think of beads and fabric and how we go about it, we have a rich history of implementing it in different disciplines. And I think as practitioners, we owe it to ourselves to be able to translate it as much as possible into work we do. Okay. There is the tendency to have a huge name and therefore feel that it should get recognition. In which case, it tends to feel like name dropping and not meaning. So, a film that has all the influences in the world and with the most expensive crew will still not work if it doesn't have meaning. Then there's copycat aesthetics. There's a sense that because a certain look and feel or approach worked in a previous period, let's say in the previous award cycle, you tend to see a lot of those things at play. So those things do not help. When it is too identical to other things that have been recognized, it betrays a lack of intentionality, a lack of obsession, because you will not obsess over something and arrive at a point that feels like it's not original. Then there is what I'm calling the case film fatigue, because you start writing or narrating your entry and then have, in a world where there's certain cliches that you notice across most entries, and it's humans that are also judges. So when you see phrasing that feels like every other phrasing you've seen, you get a little disconnected. So what that means is, in telling the story, try as much as possible to do it in a way that feels fresh. And then there's the confusion with the category. If there's an excessive need to explain why it fits here, then it probably doesn't. Because when something fits, it's easy to see. It feels seamless. And the most important one for me is what I'm calling the missing heart. Because craft without soul is decoration. And that's not what we should aim for. So, what should we consider in putting a good craft set case together? There is the clarity, which means is the idea easy to grasp in the first 10 seconds. There's the relevance, which is, does it serve the message? So it's not there for its own sake, it's serving the message that we want to pass across. And to what extent can we appreciate the detail? Do we see the obsession? From a craftsman to a craftsman, is it easy to see that, look, they went to this extent to make this sound this way, to make it look this way? It's important to call it out. So in a craft case in particular, it's okay to call out how many hours or how many tries went into ensuring a certain thing achieved a certain result or sounded a certain way or looked a certain way. Immediately that obsession comes out, you are a long way in getting that positive response that you're looking for. Then there are results, because if something is well crafted, it should be able to help achieve something commendable. So, do the results feel credible, and does it move us? These are for me what I would talk about as the 5 key things you should consider as you answer the different questions you see in the work. Okay, so that brings it to the end, and please let me know if there are any questions. Otherwise, this is what I wanted to share.